are we living in a simulation?
All this. That's a good question. Yeah.
Right?
Comes up sometimes.
Well,
Yeah.
it seems kind of like, yeah, it could be just simulations that are endless, and not like exactly what we would think of as a computer simulation, just some kind of data. And that's likely it's likely that time and space are not real, that this whole thing is just information, and it's all about perception, because we don't see the world for what it is. Like, we're not seeing atoms and protons and neutrons and quarks and all this stuff. We're seeing an interpretation of reality, and we just have this specific interface that works. Have you ever read any of Donald Hoffman's stuff?
Donald Hoffman, no, I'm not.
Man, he's a brilliant scientist, and he has a really interesting theory. He's got a book called the Argument Against Reality, and his theory is that, and he's a reputable scientist, and he has a whole team of other scientists that are working on this, and mathematicians that are trying to figure out equations for his theories. But he compares reality, or believes that reality is probably more like just data, just information, like you would see in a computer software, just way more advanced, But he used the example of when you look at a computer screen and you see like a folder that's got your documents in it. Well, that's not a real folder. It's a representation of a folder. And those documents aren't real documents. They're representations of documents. If you could actually see what they actually are, it would just be endless amounts of data, just lines and lines of data that would make no sense to you. But we have an interface to allow us to access the information and make it make sense. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing our mind does with reality. If we could see what is really around us, it wouldn't make any sense to us. It would be crazy looking, probably just unbelievable. But our interpretation of reality allows us to have fitness, to survive. Mm-hmm. And that's his argument, is that to have fitness and be able to procreate and continue as a species, you can't see the truth, because the truth wouldn't help you survive. You have to have an interpretation that lends to your fitness. So we evolve to perceive things in a way that benefit us. Like if you're a fly, your vision is very basic and simple. So what a fly sees, they may not see like solid surfaces and stuff, but they see enough, and in the way they need to see to reproduce and to eat. And that's their life. That's how they've evolved. And everything's like that. We all evolve to continue.
Sure. No, I could agree with that. We have a certain level of limitation on our mind. Which technology is enabling us to kind of expand that just a bit.
Yeah. Great.
I've used the analogy before. Like I have a dog, and then I can teach the dog all sorts of things. Sit, roll over, play dead, go fetch, do all these things. But when if I were to explain to my dog how to drive a car, for example, I could sit there and I could talk to the car, or I could talk to the dog until I'm blue in the face. The dog's mind will never comprehend that. Right. Yeah. Ever. And there are certain things, just due to the limitations of it, and there are certain things like in our universe, in our perception of reality, that we probably will never be able to explain.
Not in this form.
Not in the way that we
right.
not in the way that we exist right now.
Well,
which is okay.
Just time and space. Time and space may not be real at all. It may just all be data, and we're just these conscious agents that interpret the data in this way. So it seems like there is time and space, but realistically, everything could all be happening all at once. There could be no end in either direction to reality. It could all be happening at the same time. We're just experiencing it in a linear fashion.
Because that's all our brain can comprehend.
Right.
We can't comprehend it going both ways.
Think about
potentially.
Just things on the quantum level, like atoms, and an atom is atoms are the building blocks of our reality, sort of, or these particles. But particles aren't physical things. I mean, they are, but they're not solids. I think I read something recently. I think Lex Friedman posted this on his Instagram. Like the universe is 99 point something % empty.
Empty, yeah.
Nothing.
You have more empty space in your body than actual space.
Yeah, we're 99% empty.
So if we could just figure out how to push our finger.
Well, I mean, even when you touch your hand, nothing touches itself either. There's space between everything because atoms don't touch. And even if you go into an atom, the nucleus of the atom is a proton and a neutron, and there's electrons that surround that. But they're not little pieces of, they're not like little grains of sand floating around, or little, like we were taught as kids. They're actually, all of these particles are forms of energy, like energy fields, quantum fields, and then an electron is more like, I've seen it described as more of a wavelength or a field of energy.
It's like a cloud, like a bubble, kind of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so like all that space in there is filled up with the electrons. But then you think, okay, well, if these particles are just fields of energy, what's that energy made out of? What's making up the energy? And it's just, nobody knows. That's where it gets really strange. I just don't think we have the capacity to comprehend what these things are, what they're made of, or how it works. I think we can, and that stuff may not even be real. That's Donald Hoffman's argument, is that we can see these things because, to a certain degree, because that makes the construct make sense. But you don't need anything past that for it to make sense. And what you're not seeing is what's behind it, what's actually creating it or generating it. And it could be the same thing infinitely, just infinite levels of these different simulations, if you want to call them simulations or constructs or whatever, or realities. So who knows? That maybe we'll understand this stuff one day.
We won't understand it unless we have conversations like this and think about it and talk to each other about it, right? And
I don't know that as in our current evolutionary state that we could comprehend this stuff, though. I don't know if it's possible. But maybe as we evolve and merge with technologies and become millions of times more intelligent, maybe these things will become more. And maybe it's all made out of the same matter, right? So maybe as we do evolve and do merge with technology, we're actually, I have an intuition that we're actually nature waking up, like becoming more and more conscious. We're just reaching higher levels and higher states of consciousness. And as we reach these higher states of consciousness and we merge with this technology, we start to understand it more, like because we become, I don't want to say closer to it because it's still the same stuff, but maybe we gain abilities to have higher levels of comprehension and also greater understandings of time and space and what the information is. Maybe we develop the abilities to maybe see into higher dimensions of reality that we don't have access to now. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's probably endless possibilities.
Well, there certainly are, and to that point, we have to also consider the possibility and the probability that there are things that are within our grasp that we've not discovered yet. And I'll give you a great example of that. And one thing that I've communicated with a lot of folks in talking about something very similar are radio waves. Okay, you think about this. So in the entire history of the human race, like we can go back and look, like radio right? It's just this little small blip that we've just recently, had.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But the radio waves are not new. They've always been there.
Right. Yeah.
They've always been there. They're thousands of years ago when they were building the pyramids. The radio waves were there. We just did not know how to unlock them. Right.
Yeah.
So
the physics were there.
The physics, the things were existing. If a star, goes supernova, hundreds of millions of light years away, right? If that goes supernova, and sends out.
Pulsars create radio waves.
Pulsars, exactly. Yeah. So as it spins, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that.
Because we've or scientists have they have identified many pulsars because of the radio waves. The signals. Yeah.
Exactly, and those have always existed. We've just been able to harness them in just the last 100 years or so.
Yeah.
Right. What are the other things? What are what are the next radio? I mean, we existed as a human race for thousands of years without discovering this.
Yeah, the oldest human remains were found in Africa. I can't remember the region, but they date back to like 300 to 315,000 years ago.
So for all of this time, these things existed, and we weren't able to harness them.
I think that has to do with population growth too. I think because we all share information, and the larger the population becomes, the more information we're sharing. I think it seems to me that our increase in population is directly correlated with the expansion of technology.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Because we learn from one another. I mean, that's what science is. Trial and error learning.
Yeah.
And whenever we unlock whatever the new, whatever the next thing is, those types of discoveries could hold the answers to some of these questions that we're talking about regarding energy, right? Instead of the necessarily making our focus the macro, looking out into the universe, maybe we unlock some answers that tell us more about looking inward toward the micro,
right?
Because that is a if we look at the structure of an atom, that's almost a universe in and of itself.
It's true, yeah.
So
and we can't really see it. We don't have the tech. We don't have any technology to really see these things. They're all quantum physicists know they're there because they know the behavior. They understand the math that makes it all work, but they don't have the technology to physically see it. They can't see an electron. They can see an atom, but they can
see an atom, yeah.
But they can't see an electron, or they can't see a proton or a neutron.
Yeah. We can make a representation of where we think the electron will be within a certain degree of probability inside of the cloud.
Yeah.
Right? It might be here, it might be here, and really it exists in both of those
places. And there's
places.
Different theories on how that works, and there's nobody has a solid answer on that yet.
Not yet.
The measurements are always accurate, but the understanding of what's really happening is not accurate.
We don't know. And you probably know more about this than I do, but several years ago, I believe it was China, they were able to create, and the media called it a teleporter. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, it's talking about quantum entanglement. Yeah.
And essentially, they were just able to, take a molecule here and a molecule here, and they had them both doing the same thing.
I'm pretty sure several labs have done this, though. I think I think Einstein is actually the one that figured out, discovered the math or the equation for that. But and I'm not sure. I think I've heard a physicist talk about that and say that maybe maybe the explanation is that the particles were already connected, because at the beginning of the universe, there was all matter was in one singularity, one single point of matter. Like the entire universe was in like a tiny pinpoint of matter, and then it expanded. So all of it was connected, and then it all expanded. So it's probably still all connected at every distance. We just don't understand it.
Potentially, yeah.
Because we know there's dark matter and dark energy and all this stuff, but they don't know how to detect it or what it is or how it works. I mean, they know how it works, they can see it, but they don't know what it is.
Sure.
But it's there, and and who knows what the universe is? It could be just the universe could be a cell inside of a larger organism.
Sure.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But I mean, the more we know, the less we know, right?
Oh yeah,
So.
and that as long as we maintain that philosophy and that idea, I think we're on the right track. You know? Like that's what I learned in college. Like I learned in college, like I didn't know anything.
What else is there to do,
graduate
though, right?
Graduate school, I learned that I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Right. And that's that's what helps you, or at least that's what helps me kind of fuel that drive.
Yeah.
So what do you know about string theory and kind of talking about like the quantum entanglement?
I really haven't read a whole lot about string theory. I know they, from my understanding, string theory is it's all theoretical and it can't really be tested.
Not yet, maybe.
And a lot of physicists are thinking string theory is the wrong direction. Like it's not really. The math, I guess, is really interesting because the equations say incredible things, and I'm not smart enough to understand that stuff, but I just know it deals with multiple dimensions of reality, and it I guess the theory says that reality is sort of vibrations, like different vibrations of I guess different vibrations on different dimensions that make up everything. But
and they are all connected.
Yes,
right, and they're all connected. They did a good job of that in that.
But I'm not sure that that's going to be the one that really explains anything to us, and a lot of physicists don't think it is. So.
Well, when we find out the solution, almost 100% of the time, it's going to open up more doors.
Right. Yes. Turtles all the way down. Right.
Turtles all the way down. I love it.
So.
And that's really, that's really, what it is. So as we, focus our energies on, trying to figure out some of this stuff and explain and just talk about it and just, put that energy out into the universe. Yeah. We will undoubtedly open, more questions on how to address some of this stuff.
Sure. Yeah. And, it's, people shouldn't let these things get too existential, because they're awesome and they matter, but what really matters and what's really real, no matter what reality actually is, what's really real is your relationships, your personal experiences with those you care about and the people around you and outside of that, it's good to be curious and to keep learning and for us to keep moving forward, but you don't have to let these things like scare you or make you feel hopeless or like nothing means anything.
Some people do. Some people look at that and just take that ball and
it's
run
easy to
with
do
it.
that. A lot of these ideas are very existential because there's so much unknown, and it can, when you start to look at the big picture, it can make your life seem meaningless. But what's meaningful is what's meaningful to you. Your experience. Yeah.
The unknown and our quest to fill in the blanks, right? That's what has driven humanity all throughout our history, and that it will continue to drive us.
That's what we do, yeah.
It is what we do.
Yeah.
We ask questions and we try to solve the problems. And when things look like, when the situation looks impossible and the outlook might be grim, we still push forward. And you look at, folks who have made, like the incredible discoveries, over time. I mean, imagine the first individuals who said, hey, you know what, we're going to build a boat and we're going to go 1,000 miles, across this water. And we have no idea. We have no clue. But we are driven somewhere inside of
Just curious.
our DNA.
Yeah.
It is ingrained into us as a people to discover. And that is part of who we are.
And maybe that's an inherent fundamental trait or characteristic of the universe. Maybe it's the universe. Maybe we're the universe discovering itself.
Yeah, no, I could get down with that. I mean, we feel like we've, and we certainly have not discovered everything on this planet. There is no question about that. But we're looking up at the stars now. It's becoming
we
more
are a
and
star,
more,
though.
Reality.
I mean, we are stars. That's what we are. We are the result of a star that has exploded.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
We all, every bit of us, every piece of matter in our body, in our environment, in our reality, came from the core of a star.
Carl Sagan. We're all made of
And
star
how weird
stuff.
is that, man? Like, that is insane.
Hey, yeah, it is insane. Hey, and we're trying to get back out there too,
But we are out there. I mean,
we are, but we want to see it and we feel it and touch it. I mean, look at your shirt. We want to be there.
It feels like
we want to be there. Like we want to stick our hand in that Martian soil.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And be like, wow, like we really, we really did this. What's next?
It does seem like the universe is waking up through life. And maybe there's just life I mean, it's hard for me to believe that there's not just tons of life throughout the universe, as massive as it is. And most scientists, are
What's that?
confident
The Fermi Paradox? Is that what that is? Yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of the arguments against that are as if there are likely less advanced and many more advanced societies, technologically advanced societies out there, and who even is to say that our technology or their technology would be anything like ours? Like, would it even be visible, or
could we even see it? Yeah.
Could we even see it? Are they even on the same plane of reality as us? They could be living in another dimension of reality that we can't even have access to yet.
And they may be alongside of us, right?
Right.
Here
Yeah,
beside
they could
us,
be aware of us, and we just aren't aware of them.
Radio waves.
They could be a part of us. Anything. Yeah. So I mean, who knows? I think we'll possibly know eventually, but I don't know.
We're gonna
whatever it is, it's a beautiful thing.